How long has it been since you've seen Spirit? I decided that I wanted to show you Spirit this morning. I'm sure you always thought Spirit looked like this. Black and white, kind of flat. Look like Spirit? It is. If that's Spirit, then what's this? Isn't it beautiful? You like the curves on the side? Obviously, it's a girl. Body. Charles Fillmore said that the human man is the instrument through which God expresses. Yeah. Now, Spirit's perfect. If you're in meditation, you can hear it. The composer, Mozart, thought this was very fine. He thought it was perfect. I think it's perfect. I think everybody who's ever heard it probably thinks it's perfect. That perfection and that music is in here, in the body. Expresses through the physical body. The absolute creativity of God comes through physicality. Each one of us an expression of that divine Spirit. Some of us are better at bringing it out than others. Some of us can play that symphony of life, and it's flawless. I've heard a few performances like that make me gasp. And then I just heard a recording on YouTube, someone singing. At least I think they were singing. It was pretty interesting. Well, I don't know that interesting is the word. How good a channel we are to bring that Spirit of God through is up to us. Now, if the music is the Spirit and this is the body, then I'm the soul, consciousness that brings the Spirit of God through into physicality so you can hear it. That's not a bad thing to do, right? And I think it's important to realize, not only did Charles say that man is an expression of, or an instrument through which God expresses in this world, he also said, your body is God's body. It's perfect. It's whole. It's as beautiful as this big black one. Now, I know that sometimes we've gotten the idea, and I've heard teaching such as, you've got to deny the body. You're not to enjoy the things of physicality. You get your reward when you die. What God created is good. What God created, that good is for us to use, to bring out into this world. You have a body. It's a wonderful body, and it's God's body. It's created of the substance of the stars. You knew that. It's animated by God life. There is no other source of life in this universe. That business about you get your reward on the other side, I'd like to remind you that resurrection is for the living. It is for us to resurrect now from one level of consciousness or awareness to another. Now, this spirit that I called this page of music. As I said, if you're in meditation, you can hear it. This body has spirit within it, but it is for us to bring it out and bring it through. You know it? Twinkle Twinkle? Mozart, he didn't write that tune. That's a French folk song. But he used it, and the title is "À voudrais-je, maman?" What shall I tell you, mother? Is the title. And it was written in 1778 in Paris by Mozart. Lovely tune. He starts out with a very simple melody, and then he writes a series of variations where that melody will appear in major key, in minor key. Minor key would be. Familiar tune, but dark in color, isn't it? That spirit is beautiful, and it's perfect. But we have to bring that perfection forth. We have to look at life with the eyes of spirit, actually the single eye of spirit, that sees God only, that sees good only. God creates an idea. There's first an idea in mind. And then that Father, divine mind. What's the product of mind? That idea. And that idea is the Son. God, the Father, is mind. The Son is the idea in mind. And it is for us then to bring that idea forward into life. Through the activity of God and the activity of the whole Spirit of God, we bring that forth. The creative activity of God brings it forth into expression or manifestation. It takes something to bring that out. That something is consciousness. You've heard that word before, right? Consciousness? Consciousness, thinking and feeling. It's your soul. Consciousness is the more modern word for soul. I thought that music was kind of pretty. It takes my consciousness, my thinking and feeling, to bring that out, to perceive the music and express it. He goes on. You like it? It's kind of pretty. Yeah. All right. So I played it with a nice, open, clear consciousness, right? I brought it forth into expression pretty clearly, right? Sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes the ideas, the concepts we have, the concepts about our bodies, about our lives, do not come through with the perfection with which God created them. That's a little distorted, isn't it? I think Jesus would call those evil notes. Like the evil figs. The evil figs didn't mean that they did drugs and played cards and ran with wild women. It means they weren't ripe, immature or unripe. That was immature or unripe. I didn't perceive the Spirit clearly, correctly. I would play with some rather erroneous concepts about life or about music. Well, they certainly didn't sound right. They weren't right. They didn't produce the results I wanted, and they certainly didn't produce the results that I think you wanted or expected. We've got these kind of things in our bodies, too. We sometimes think, oh, my body could hurt me. My goodness, my body will only last so long. You've got a cold? Oh, I think it's pneumonia. Why jump to the impossible or to the absolute worst it could be instead of thinking it's nothing? I perceive the pure, radiant light of God illuminating every cell of my body, every area of my mind. For I am created whole, well, and free. Don't go out in the rain. You're going to catch, I heard this as a child, you're going to catch your death of cold. That must have been a common phrase, death of cold. Yeah. Don't lay in a draft. Here, you need to be covered. All kinds of concepts that the body is only physical, that physical things can really harm your body. And when I made those error notes in music, I need to go back and I need to start editing. I need to start sifting through the concepts that I'm perceiving and select the correct ones. And I'm going to tell you something. When one practices and one plays wrong notes, it takes more work to erase it. Because once you have put it in mind, handed it to the subconscious just wants to reproduce it. Boom. And you have to work harder, more repetitions to dig it out. That's why sometimes you have to affirm a lot to get an error thought out of your consciousness. You have to pray a few times instead of happening in an instant. It could happen in an instant, but it depends upon how much energy you have invested in the error. I'm going to start thinking, I hope, I trust intelligently about my body. I'm asking you to start thinking intelligently about your body. That it is God's body. That it is created of the stuff of the stars. I look out in the night sky and I saw some fantastic ones from the west, out in Reno or Tahoe or even Las Vegas. Not that I went there a lot, mind you, but when you look up at that night sky and you see this carpet of stars you never saw from back here in the city, or from any city with all its city lights at the nighttime. It's unbelievable and it's exquisite. And I can't find flaw with it. I look at those stars and I realize every one of them is perfect. Just what it needs to be, in its right and perfect place, doing what God created it to do. It's an organic whole, and it's doing a dance that no human being could choreograph. Your body is just as beautiful. And the atoms and cells are choreographed just as perfectly and just as beautifully. Each one of us plays our own music. And depending on how we perceive it, how we sift it, how our consciousness is open to the truth, sometimes that music is exquisite, absolutely beautiful, and life seems that way. The music comes out as joy, as prosperity, as peace of mind, as sense of meaning and purpose. And sometimes we throw in a few evil notes and have little setbacks and challenges, problems, sometimes illnesses. But remember, the body is like a rubber band. Remember shooting rubber bands in school? I got in trouble more than once with that. They stretch very nicely. But when you want to put them back, you don't have to push them back. All you have to do is let go. Release the tension. Release the error in your mind. And as soon as you do, as soon as you let go, it is returned to its original perfection. I found that true of every rubber band. They want to, they're created to return to that equilibrium. And so are we. Just imagine if we weren't. You'd shave, cut yourself, and die. Do you ever worry about dying when you cut yourself shaving? I don't think so. You just put some toilet paper on it and go about your business, right? Isn't that what we do? We don't give it any thought. It just depends on how big the situation seems to be before we see it incorrectly. We see it as impossible for God to heal or to cure or to change. And that's our evil notes. Those are our evil notes that cause us to listen to the sounds of our lives and hear disharmony, disorder, dissatisfaction. Those evil notes that make us feel tired and sick, make us feel lonely. We need to sift through those so we only play the beautiful notes. We're a threefold being. Spirit, perfect. Soul, the one who brings spirit into expression through the physical body. Spirit, soul, body. We're subject. We can feel the pains of the body and jump to conclusions that it's something awful. It's doing it to me again, whatever. Change your attitude and change your thinking about it. Respond from the Spirit. God created me whole, well, and perfect. Whole, well, and free. I wondered once, what makes the difference between a piano player and a musician? I've seen a lot of piano players. Currently, I put myself in that category. But a musician seeks to perform to the best of his ability, works to be a clear expression through which that Spirit of God comes through. There was a famous musician once who said, if I miss a day, I notice. If I miss 2 days, the critics notice. If I miss 3, everybody notices. Chris and I have talked about some of these professional athletes and their season is pretty short. And my question has been, but do they have to do it? Do they have to practice what they do every day of their lives? I don't think they do. I don't think they have to. Musicians have to. Because 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it's true. Absolutely true. When I played, and I played all the time, and I played every day, my hands were at a certain level of tuning. The muscles were so accurate and precise, and very quickly that goes. Very quickly. And it's frustrating. And I sit at a piano and I look at it and I think, I can't play anymore. But I have to go back and I have to reprogram because the muscles forget very quickly. Become aware that your body is formed of the stuff of stars. And you can make the most beautiful music, realizing that God's body, your body, is created to be perfect. Created so that every cell glows with God's intelligence and God life. And you heard Twinkle Twinkle. Well, here's one of the variations. Just as perfect. Few evil notes there because I misperceived. Yeah, but you can hear the beauty that's inherent in that piece. And hear the music that is inherent in you. I think this is a beautiful body. I look at this and I admire the shape and construction of this body. But you have a beautiful body. It's divine.